A belief that I've had for quite a while and has only gotten more sure in my mind is the only people who are going to have the right solutions to fix or improve the things that Indigenous communities are currently going through are Indigenous people.
Indigenous business matters because there's so much passion and social change behind an Indigenous business.
We design based on the premises of if the residential school did not happen. So when we say that, it's about we would be bold, colorful, and we're just proud to be Indigenous people.
As the world is changing, as we're changing, people need a different way to do things, and people are craving a different way to do things. And, instead of everyone feeling very left out of the world as it, supposedly moves forward, we all need different ways of doing things, and that I don't have to follow along with corporate jargon or corporate ways of building.
My goal is to own land and have complete food sovereignty, where I'm growing my own food, growing my own berries, and raising my own animals, and then having at-risk youth or youth who have aged out of care being staff on that farm, and giving them a place to live and be and work, and really inspire them to go after their dreams as well.
It's based on the value of reciprocity. That what makes us different in this program is that it's a shared relationship. It's not about us just being top heavy and giving direction. When we talk about community, we want to make sure that when we enter it, that we're actually giving back.
It's not just about wealth creation, it's about it's about raising everybody else with them. And I think that's so important because like generationally we grew up as a tribe, and as a tribe we understood that our tribe was only as good as the person that was the least successful within that tribe. And I think that teaching still holds true today. If as 660 tribes across Canada, if we allow one tribe to fail, then we haven't lived up to our ancestral teachings to share success and to raise everybody up, right? It's all towards building the economy and retaining that wealth within the Indigenous communities.
I think what's really exciting is that we're at a time now where we're like, great, do it differently. You don't have to do it that way because it was always done that way. Let's recreate this. And so I think as the generations come up, they're questioning a lot of things that actually will be great for our sector and great for our world and our communities. And so it's about, for me also, how do we tend to that? How does the school support more Indigenous fundraisers being trained? Because we need them, and our organizations need them, and they are going to do things in a different way, and that's great. They should. But we need to create the space for them and the support for them to be who they want to be, not take them into a world that is very much not who they should be.
I think it gives us, what's the word? Like individuality. It really helps us support ourselves. Like we don't have to rely on other people or other systems. We can create our own.
When I was working out the idea, I said, I want to do this in a way that is meaningful and sacred and respectful and responsible.
What we're doing is like a continuity and a reconnection of what our ancestors have always done. And so we're trying to, we're not trying to be like capitalists in a mercantile sense, but we're more trying to like realign with the abundance our ancestors would have already had. And it's not that easy, but I believe that we're guided by our ancestors here, Specifically, like we're reconnecting to food sovereignty and traditional territorial mapping of how we would be using the land, like a mutual reciprocity between the land and our use of it. And so living in harmony, but also more than surviving, living abundantly. So rematriating those economies.
Our story really was starting in my home community, and how can I help my community, because I know this isn't an isolated problem. I know there has to be other greenhouses like this. And it really came from our two passions and kind of merging those two things together.
I grew up in the north and we have unique challenges there. And when we came to the realization that off-the-shelf technologies weren't meeting those needs, we invented our own, and Indigenous ingenuity came forward, and we ended up solving a lot of the challenges that we were having with these systems to enable commercially viable growing year-round in every Indigenous community across Canada.
These incubators and accelerators are so important because they expose you to the world. They expose you to really innovative thought leaders that are doing just fascinating stuff, but it's small pockets that 99% of the business environment doesn't hear about. Like even just understanding like how many Indigenous entrepreneurs there is. Like when I started, I thought it was a small pocket, right? But the more I get exposed to these programs, the more I see there's a large number of us, and we are, in one form or another, we're struggling to succeed because we don't have enough of a network to support us. And I think building that support network is so important, because once we start supporting each other, then we start succeeding more and more.
I think for many, many years we have been trying to have a voice in this world, and we sat by and watched all these other big corporations come and extract and destroy and cause a lot of damage. And when we're taking up these spaces as business owners and making things sustainable and good for the planet, like that is the future, and that's the only way that we all are going to survive on this planet.
We should be doing this, we need to be doing this, and we need to support the community that has been overlooked and not supported in that way. And so I think that everyone is on their own personal journey of where they fit into our country, where they fit into, if they're on a reconciliation journey or anything like that, they have to think of like, where does that fit for them as a person, and where does that fit for them as a company? And so it does matter. I think that I think the time is there. I think the focus is there. And I think that it's for people to take steps forward when they need to and when they're ready.
We were meant to be here. Everything that has brought us to this point, from not only this past year, but I could go back. I made a promise to myself to be able to speak.
I think when I look at being here and what brought me here, as cheesy as it sounds, I feel like everything has been a part of this, and I was meant to come. I think that when I look at my yearning for culture, when I look at my connection to community, my life as a fundraiser, my school, it has all come to this moment, being here with the group and what we can do together and what we can support each other to do. That's how it feels.
I think we're on a really sacred mission to put autonomy back in the hands of the communities that have never had autonomy. And if in 5 years we have enabled more nations to take control of their own affairs, their own growth, their own intergenerational wealth, not just with money, but with everything that goes along with that, the responsibility, the reciprocity, the land, our ancestors, our language, cosmology. that is the ultimate goal, and that will be success for me if we have enabled as many nations as possible to do that for themselves. Ultimately, I want to see us play a game that was put on us better than those who put it on us.
That is one of our big motivators and one of our values is that, you know, take what's been brought here to change us and to colonize us and we flip it on them. And I think this does that.
Being part of the Fireweed Accelerator is giving me that space to actually show up as my full self as well. You know, like sort of practicing what I preach in the space of the business that I'm creating. I also need to be able to show up as who I am. And I want to be able to share the vision of what I'm building in a group that actually can understand, or that is open-hearted enough, that can also see the vision, that understands the bigger and broader purpose. And it's just not a space that exists anywhere else. You know, I've been working on that, trying to find the space that is going to help me get to where I need to be with my business. And I know I can't do that alone. I can only do that with community. It is built for community, and I can't build it without community also.
Because we live in a capitalist society, trying to run a business outside of that, well, we have to do it within that, but then also valuing and kind of be in parallel with the truth of why we're doing the business, what drives us to create these businesses. And for me, the brewery has always come from the land first. I had the amazing opportunity growing up on the farm that we have our business on, and having those times to play in the forests and be in the fields and use my imagination and see the evolution of the different types of farming or changes and what that even leads to in terms of what type of animals we have on the property. So having this opportunity to, when a program is speaking the language that I myself have been trying to speak.
With every part of my being, I want there to be more Indigenous business, and I highly recommend it to everyone that I talk to. It's one of the most stressful things I've ever done, and it's also one of the most fulfilling things that I've ever done, and I wouldn't do anything else for any amount of money. This is what I love what I do. Yeah.
I think we forgot to say we're married. But...
Oh yeah.